even start this review, first off, spoilers. I am going to have a lot to say, and we're going to go over characters and plot points and all of the best and worst moments within this movie. But honestly, I want to say this was everything I wanted and more. There are a few weak parts, and we will get to them. But overall, I came out of the theater satisfied. Oh, that sounds so weird, right? I came out of the theater pumped. I came out of the theater questioning what had just went on. But most of all, I came out of the theater wanting more. And I am so glad to hear that we are getting some spin-offs. Of course, the Gotham Central has been announced for some time now, but we're also getting an Arkham Asylum and a Penguin show. I am so glad to see this universe, this Batman universe, explored upon in the HBO Max setting. I love long-form storytelling. And then when they're able to do that over 8 to 10 episodes, I will be here for it. Not only will I be here for it, but just like Peacemaker, I will likely be reviewing every single episode that is released. So you know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit like. Let's get into some serious spoiler territory. And because I'm terrible with reviews, I'm going to put up my basic outline here so you guys can follow along. Now, let's start right at the beginning. This was an extremely strong opening. We start right off in the action and seeing what Batman is all about. This isn't a origin story. This is year 2. It is an origin story, but it's also expanded upon. We're not going over the same beats we've seen over and over again. And a lot of those same beats are completely omitted. We're not going to see Joe Chill kill anybody, and we're not going to see the pearls fly. Yeah, I love those moments. I absolutely do. But this opening was much better. Because we get this beautiful monologue that we see so often in the comics. Since thought bubbles are gone, monologuing has become a much more accepted thing, and we see the idea of fear. Fear is what Batman is using at this point to not only drive criminals into a straight life, but quite possibly drive them into this submissive kind of absolute terrible criminal, right? Like, not terrible in the sense of they're bad people, but scare them straight, right? And it kind of works. We see the light. We see the bat signal. And anytime that bat signal is raised, people start to get worried. We get a couple different shots of the dark. And there was one issue I had here, I will say right away, is when we actually see him walk out of the dark. I love the paint can thing. Like, the guy's spray painting and his paint rolls in the dark, and he's just like, no, I'm good. I am good. I will just buy me some new paint. But when we actually see this scene where these gangsters or gang people are beating up this old Asian man, we see basically Batman come out. But it was almost too slow for me. It was very melodic. But I was like, come on, buddy. Come out and play. Like, it was very, very slow. And that was done on purpose. But for as much crap as I have given the Snyder films, I'm over the slow. Give me some action. And I was just like, okay, what are we doing here, right? That's okay. That was only a one-time thing. I loved the idea of fear. I loved the idea that bat signal brought criminals to their knees. The legend alone of Batman was enough. And it was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it. I would have liked to see Bruce during that same scene maybe help the victim a little bit more instead of just walk away. But I digress. We're in year 2. So we got to understand, going throughout this entire review and this entire movie, this is a brand new Batman. This is not one that has been seasoned. He is just starting. So I want to talk about Gotham because Gotham is just as much of a character in this movie than Selina, than Batman, than Alfred. It is beautiful. The attention to detail in stuff like the Times Square scene where we see him walking through, or the kind of Times Square scene, right? The Gotham Square scene is amazing. But there's so much when it comes to Gotham being its own character. The deep alleys, the dark pathways, those come to life when they are on the screen. The idea that they shot this in Chicago, a lot of it, and some overseas, but some of the city stuff in Chicago is kind of mind-blowing to me. I get it, Chicago's the windy city and all that, but like, I've been there. I didn't recognize it at all. And I was shocked at how good it looked. Everything looked so good in this city. And Gotham looked terrifying. It didn't look like a place that a normal citizen would want to try to raise a family or grow old or even live or even vacation to. Like, you didn't want to go to Gotham. I get it, right? So, anyways, let's talk about Bruce Wayne, not Batman, Bruce Wayne, because we barely see him throughout this. We see him a couple times, and I don't think Pattinson necessarily has the perfect Bruce Wayne. I would say that Ben Affleck gets the emotional depth of Bruce Wayne a little bit better, but he's also supposed to be a bit more of a seasoned Bruce Wayne, whereas Pattinson gets Batman better. This doesn't feel like your playboy philanthropist. This is just a recluse. Bruce Wayne is simply a recluse, right? And that's okay. But we do see him out as Bruce Wayne a couple times, and really it's very spotty. I would have liked to see more Bruce Wayne, I'm not going to lie. Bruce is a character as much as Batman is a character, whereas Batman is the real Bruce, right? Batman is him. But we need to see him play up to that kind of Bruce Wayne attitude more. We need him kind of to be more in that light. He's letting everything go. At one point, he even looks at Alfred and says he doesn't care about the Wayne stuff. He doesn't care about this. And I'm like, it's kind of fun to hear a whole thing here, right? Like, we need to play up to Bruce Wayne a little bit more, not gonna lie. So, I'm gonna talk about the specific comics because as much creative liberties as they take with Origin and Selina and some of the other reveals we'll talk about here in a little bit, this is pulled straight from what I can tell, 4 main comics. Now, Earth 1. We have gone over this channel in excruciating detail. Earth 1 comics. There on my morning brew, we have gone over them panel by panel, and they are phenomenal. Some of the best Batman work out there. I love Geoff Johns. He's so talented. And a lot of the things were pulled from this. One part where Batman actually falls is literally pulled right from this. The Martha reveal we'll get to is literally pulled right from this, which tells me not only did Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson, understand Bruce and Batman as 2 separate characters, but it tells me they took the time to put in the work that us fans have done all along. And I really, really like that. We also pull from Year 1 with Selina Kyle. It's her outfits, not just her outfits, the way her everything, like her working at, I believe it was called 44 Below. It's, the Iceberg Lounge. Her working at this club, her doing all these things is so reminiscent. And I didn't get to review Year 1, and I still want to go back and do it because it just made me want to go back and read it. Like, it was so good. Everything was pulled from that. Not everything, but there was a lot of great detail pulled from Year 1 for Selina. And I really like that they did that. I really do. Year 0, and that I think is going to expand upon what we'll see coming up, because we saw, obviously spoilers, I don't know why I'm telling you that again, but we saw the bridges explode, right? That was how Riddler did the exact very similar thing in Year Zero. The flooding, very similar thing. I think what we're going to with some of the reveals is coming straight out of Year Zero with the Red Hood gang and the Riddler kind of tormenting Gotham, right? And in pulling from Scott Snyder, yeah, you can't go wrong. One book I did get to review as a video with Joe Corallo was Ego. And they played off of two really important plot points in this. Two extremely important plot points in this. That is the inner demons. The inner demons that Bruce faces. The inner demons that he deals with on a night-to-night basis. What his actions cause. But most importantly, my favorite part of that book. And that is when we see one person be so scared in the very beginning that he not only kills his family, but he kills himself. Now, this didn't go quite that far in the scene. If you remember, they released a scene where we see the car go into the funeral and somebody gets out. It's actually the DA, we come to find out. And they're going through this whole scene's amazing, and I have it written down. We'll just go through it now. But they're trying to get the bomb off from around his neck. They send in this stupid drone thing. I would be so mad. I'd be like, get this motherfucker off me. Get it off me. But nope. They send in the drone, then Batman comes in. And he has to answer 3 riddles in 2 minutes in order to survive this. And the second one, he asks, how much is your soul worth, basically? How much did you sell out for? And the delivery of this line was so good. I believe the actor's name is Peter Sarsgaard, I believe. But during this scene, he says, 10,000 a month. I get 10,000 a month. And he said, who did it? And he goes, they didn't ask me that. I loved that line. But where it really goes in with the ego part is when he says, who was it? The final riddle is, who was the person that 10,000 came from, that you were able to be bought off from? And he's so unwilling to let his family be in danger that he lets himself be blown to smithereens. That's right out of Ego. And that was one of my favorite parts of that. I absolutely loved the parts that they chose. I would also add a little bit of When in Rome in here also. Even the Dark Halloween, or the Long Halloween, but the reveal with Catwoman was right after When in Rome, right? So, but those 4 were the main thing, and I think what they chose from those was so well done. It was beautiful. And the eyes, they used the eyes right out of Earth 1. And I loved that, because being able to see Bruce's pupils, even though one of the first things I noticed is, just because I'm such a big Batman fan, is I'm like, aha, his eyes are brown. This is wrong. This is wrong. If I was that picky, I'd have a real problem, right? So I love it. Now, the music that was chosen this, I've said on my channel a couple times, I think Nirvana is overrated, but yeah, wow, it was so fitting. God, it was so good. I don't even know what song it is. I'm not even kidding. Let me know in the comments below if you know that song, because I want to listen to it. Like, my favorite song by them is like Plateau and Polly, and stuff a person that was 4 or 5 at the time, 3, would know. But like, I was shocked at how well it fit. And then the score on this, I feel like they may have overused the Batman music a little much, but it was so good. Great choice of music. You guys know I am a huge proprietor of music mashing well with the IP. I think James Gunn does the best job at this, but this was really, really phenomenal. James Gunn and then Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman's score too, but this was really good. So let's talk a little bit about the tech, specifically the contacts, and then let's talk about the Batmobile. But I want to add in one thing here that I hated. I'm not going to lie. I didn't like the part where Bruce was spying on Selena, watching her change. I'm not going to lie, I found it a little creepy. I get it. I get why he was doing it. He was realizing that Selena actually knew the Anika girl, but it was a little creepy. Not going to lie. Like, don't watch a woman change. Maybe just close your eyes when she's in her underwear. I don't know. Okay. So let's talk about the bat tech. I loved the idea that these contact lenses, they could, instead of just being able to talk back and forth, hey, what's going on? When Selena was unable to talk, he could see what she was doing. Not only does that work really well in that scene, but it works really well in the idea that every single night he forces himself to write down what happened in a ledger, and then he has the recording. So say he's looking at a Riddler message, he can print it out and he can work from it. It was a great idea to put in this. I absolutely love that bat tech. So good. So good. But what was better was the Batmobile. Oh my God, the Batmobile stalled and I literally giggled. I thought that was so good. We're in a year 2 Batman and you give him a muscle car? Yes. When I was like, a little side note here, when I was very young, 16, 17 years old, my boyfriend at the time used to do stuff with, I forget what it was, Dodge Nostalgia. And we used to go to the track and his dad used to race them. So I love that sound of a good muscle car, right? And just hearing that thing rev up, like, brought out the inner child in me. I'm like, woo, what do we got going on here, right? So anyways, great use of that. When it stalled, I laughed, but then it took off, and seeing it go through the flames was amazing. Beautiful car. I hope they update it. I do think it's only good for a couple years, right? And even like when it was getting shot at, you could tell it was bulletproof glass, but it wasn't going to last forever. So he is going to have to update it. So let's talk about the MVP of the night. Oh my God. Zoe Kravitz, my new girl crush. I love her. I love her so much. She did a phenomenal job. I feel like she literally walked off the page of any Darwin Cook Catwoman. Even Earth 1 Catwoman, or I'm sorry, Year 1 Catwoman walked off the page. She was phenomenal. The way she moved, she has a really great shape. Like, sometimes, women are all shaped differently, but even thinner women like that sometimes get very boxy. She has a great curve, and it worked so well because when we seen her kick or we seen her move, you could still see the curves that you would see in a comic book, right? Because the way that it was choreographed was so well done that you could see that movement. You could see her in the shadows or when she was jumping down off the balcony. Her look was great. Her nails. I loved her nails. And not only that, but like, please, just do some branding here. I'm telling you what, I need those boots. Those boots were so cool. I really, really want a pair. I'm sure Amazon probably has some, and that's exactly what I'll be Googling later this evening. But those boots were killer, and I need 3 pair. Just 3. They're great. So I loved Selena. I thought her and Pattinson had a lot of chemistry. I thought that she did the sex appeal really well without actually being super objectified, which is really weird, right? She did the whole come hither thing. She used her feminine wiles, but she didn't make it too much. She didn't go overboard. And it was the perfect amount of sexy. It was the perfect amount of sexy awesome ratio. That's a new thing. We just made it. So let's talk about Gordon. Great Gordon. Not as good as the Nolan trilogy, but he did grow on me. I thought he was a little bland at first in the way of maybe not, Gordon to me was always a little naive. He always trusted a little bit too much. And Gordon in here really knew not to trust. Like, the only person he trusted was Batman. God, what does that say about Gotham? Think about that. Like, if you can only trust a grown-ass man in a bat suit, Gotham's really bad. Really, really bad. But Gordon was good. I really liked him. He grew on me towards the end. The back and forth with him and Batman were so good. The line that won me over 100% with this was when Batman said, "No guns." And he just looked at him and he goes, "That's your thing." I was like, yes! I love you, Gordon. You are awesome. He did a great job. I can't wait to see him back. Or I'm thinking he's going to be in this Gotham Central show. They're probably going to try to clean up the police force some, right? And he's not commissioner yet, so we'll get there. But he did a great job. I loved him. But we got to talk villains. Villains are a dime a dozen in Gotham. So you really have to stand out, right? And a lot of times we do that thing in the comics where it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the Batman or the crazy? Well, apparently it was the Batman. And he actually, by the end, we come to find out that he inspired the Riddler. And the Riddler was dark and demented. And I honestly, at first, I was like, I don't know if I hate this or I love it, because Riddler's a great, like, B villain. He's awesome. He really, really is. But what I always loved about the Riddler was he was a little grandiose. He was a little, more showy. And this was showy, but in a very different, demented way. This was, I am showing for the sake of being insane, not for the sake of showing everybody how smart I am. They didn't lean into that narcissistic part as much as I had hoped, because it is very much a fundamental part of the Riddler. But the horror aspect made up for it 100%. 100%. I love the redesign of the costume. I thought it was great. I thought the idea that he thought Batman this whole time was working with him, not against him. He thought they were going to be friends at the end of this. He had it all planned out for those two. That felt more to me like a Joker thing than a Riddler thing, but I liked that they went there anyway. It did feel definitely more like a Joker thing. Joker's obsessed. Joker's basically in love with the Batman, right? Joker loves the Batman. And that's kind of what this felt like to me. But it was amazing. He was scary when he needed to be scary and obtuse when he needed to be obtuse. It was great. The Penguin was unrecognizable. I was shocked at how good this looked. Now, I don't watch a whole lot of, big budget films and stuff like that. So maybe this is a normal thing that I don't realize, but I could not tell that was the original actor. I could not. He looked amazing. Even when he was talking, I was trying to look for weak points in his mouth or in his chin or in his scars. Amazing. My biggest problem with the Penguin, was that he didn't really need to be there. Like, yes, he ran the club. He had a great action sequence we're going to talk about here in a minute. But if you removed him, what would have changed? I get it, they're setting up the HBO Max show, but I don't know. I loved it. I can't wait to see his enterprise, kind of built upon, and we get the real Iceberg Lounge and everything else. I can't wait to see all that. But I get it. I get why the Penguin felt a little shoehorned, right? So, Carmine, great. I love. One thing I've been saying for years when it comes to Batman is don't go Joker, don't go this, but go detective and go mobsters. I grew up on stuff like Goodfellas, right? I love that kind of thing. Just basically Goodfellas and Sopranos. And I loved that they used that. Now, we didn't get to see Maroni, but we got to talk about Maroni, right? So I loved Carmine. I think he was haunting. I think he was very, I guess the best way to put it is you felt, even though he was not that big of a guy, not a huge stature, but he was very scary in his own right. Very scary. So the other two big villains in this, which aren't people, was corruption and radicalization. So corruption within Gotham is rampant always, right? But the corruption we're seeing here was at the everywhere in the government, right? We have not only the mayor, but the police, corruption. Everybody had their own part in this, and they were all owned by Carmine, which we don't find out till the end. Carmine ended up being a rat for Falcone, Maroni, but he that's how he got his big empire, right? And it kind of, I think, I gotta see it again, but I think that whole thing was kind of faked with the drugs and stuff. But corruption to an nth degree. So it's on every level. It doesn't matter who's elected mayor, because Carmine owns them. And I thought that was a really good aspect. And then the radicalization. These people that were following, they do use social media when it comes to the Riddler. And these people, he had like 500 followers. And I kind of laughed at him like, that's a pretty small amount to be worried about. 500 is a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And when they start believing what you have to say, and you're preaching the same bullshit over and over again, and they believe it, and then you kind of radicalize them to a point where they're willing to take a life. We've seen stuff like this happen. We can't even pretend. We have it. Social media especially does this kind of thing. So I thought that was a really good way to bring that in at the end, where they are willing to come into the arena and do and finish Riddler's, puzzle, right? I thought that was great. So I want to talk about a couple scenes. The car chase one really, really impressed me. For one, of course, it was beautiful. It was huge. It was, you didn't know what was going to happen. And I said earlier, I laughed because the Batmobile stalled at the beginning and kind of gave him a little bit of a heads up. But what I loved about this so much was the inside view of the Penguin. Like, I didn't go to an IMAX theater or anything. I just went to a regular one, but I still felt that, that feeling in your gut, like the falling. Oh, I hate it. But it was so good. And then looking through the rear view mirror, the way that the cinematography was done was so good in that scene. And it was just like Batman being so menacing, walking out of those flames and having Penguin realize, oh shit. And then he looks down and I was like, okay, why are we're holding on this shot a little bit too long. I just felt like I just really wanted to have Batman go, peekaboo. I just really wanted to. Oh man. But it was a great scene. Another great scene I really, really liked was, I talked about the DA bomb scene, but the arena, the idea that these people were in there and they were radicalized by the Riddler. And what really got me though, like there was we seen him use adrenaline to save Catwoman, and it was great, and that was great. The torch bearing scene got me emotional. I'm not gonna lie. When we actually saw Batman sort of talk about what he felt Batman was for the city, and then what he realized it actually was for the city, was amazing. You see him helping these people. You see him helping them out. They're stuck, and he helps them, and he has his flare, and he's walking out, and you see that scene from above, and everybody's following him because he's at that moment their beacon of hope. And I thought that was great. And then you see the top of the arena, the government, starting to come in and help, and he's helping people, and then he's helping the little boy. And he goes to put him on the stretcher, and they go to take him away because they're going to, the boy needs medical attention. And he grabs back for the Batman. Oh, my heart. That was the best scene in the entire movie. That was the best, most gripping scene for me, because it was the simple beauty of knowing that he's making a difference in a way he didn't realize. Usually we look at Superman as our hopeful character, our aspirational character. But they actually managed to make it Batman. Managed to make at least a small amount of what he's doing aspirational. And the people see that, That was amazing. That was great. So another thing I want to talk about is the reveals. There's a couple reveals, a couple lackluster reveals. And the first one was Martha, right out of Earth 1. Martha is sick. She has some mental health issues. I believe they took it a little further, and a lot of it was told to us, which I would wish we got some flashbacks, but my biggest issue was this is as reviewing this, I'm like trying to rack my brain. It was all kind of together, and I'm not sure if Martha also tried to kill her mother or her mother tried to kill her. So if you guys know, let me know down below. But I got confused at that part. But I loved that reveal. I didn't expect them to go that far in a mainstream Batman movie. Like, I just didn't. I expected Martha and Thomas to be seen as this shining beacon they always are. And let's be real, no politician is. So why would we ever think Thomas was also? And then the mental health aspect of it, it was great. They expanded upon what Jeff Johns started. I really liked that. I do feel like there was some plot holes in it. Like, why would you ever think that it was a good idea for Thomas to go ask Carmine Falcone for a favor to shake the guy that knew, right? That wouldn't happen. He's not that dumb. Like, I just don't feel like he's that dumb to know that Carmine wouldn't kill somebody. Another thing I thought that was a little like, was the Joker reveal. I don't know. I know there's a deleted scene. I do know there was a deleted scene from this movie that shows Batman going into Arkham and kind of conversing with the Joker. But everyone knows the Joker. I get it. I want something new. I want something fresh. What Joaquin Phoenix gave us was new and fresh. They're continuing that. Use a different character. You could even use Bane or Jervis Tetch. Like, there are so many. Use Ivy. There are so many ways you can do this without using the Joker. Not only that, I felt like I liked his like riddle, about the answer being a friend, but his laugh was weak. I didn't like the Joker reveal. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like it. I'm over the Joker. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let me know what you guys think, because Joker's weak sauce to me right now. Weak sauce. So, and then we have this I am vengeance idea, right? We've seen it in the trailer. I am vengeance. It's what he said when he's just boom, fucking massacring this dude's face, right? He doesn't kill, but he will give you a concussion and possibly make you unable to write and walk for the rest of your life. And then, during the arena scene, they minion for the Riddler. They ask him who he is, and he says, I am vengeance. And that is a light bulb, right? That's a light bulb for him to go, oh, maybe I haven't just been inspiring. Maybe I haven't just been inspiring the good, the aspirational, like we talked about earlier. Maybe I've been inspiring the bad too. Maybe I need to rethink a few things. And being year 2, he has that opportunity to fine-tune his craft, his version of Batman, what he's going to do in the future. And I thought that was a really good, like, oh shit moment, right? Like, that's what I say. Maybe vengeance isn't what I need to be. Maybe I need to be justice. And I wonder if that's exactly what we're going to see maybe next movie, because I know they're talking about a trilogy already, right? I think for number 2, they're going to use Mr. Freeze and probably the Joker also, but I have heard Mr. Freeze, and if that's the case, hallelujah. Perfect villain. But that oh shit moment where he's like, I don't need to be vengeance. I don't need to be that. I need to be justice. And I thought that was a really great moment after all. So overall, I absolutely adored this movie. This is my favorite Batman movie to date. This is perfection for me, besides a very few things. then what I'm telling, I feel like there was a couple overly negative parts from my review. That's all I have to say bad about a 3-hour movie. That's all I have to say bad about a 3-hour movie. And I think that's pretty good. Nobody's going to like everything 100%. Like this for me is like a 9.5 out of 10. I've never gone to a movie and seen it twice, and I probably will try to for this one. This is something that, as a Batman fan or a fan of thriller or mystery, we can all enjoy together. It takes creative liberties where it needs to, and it pulls directly from the comics where it needs to. But at the end of the day, this movie was amazing, and I am not disappointed. I am so happy that this was this good. Honestly, I didn't want to. I went into this with high expectations. I said this a few days ago. I went in with very high expectations, and they exceeded it. And that's pretty fucking good. Anyways, let me know, of course, what you guys think about the movie if you had a chance to see it. If you haven't yet, or anything in between, we will be doing a panel discussion about this on Sunday. A lot of awesome people are going to be joining me. So I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.